Ro.8, Group B, Dark, TY, Cure, herO. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 2.
And we're back. Welcome, everybody. Dark versus TY, I mean, that was kind of a wash, right? I'm hoping that Cure versus herO will be closer and better and ideally longer, because we sped right through that first series.
Yeah, that was a speedrun version of the GSL round of 8.
And really, it was like Dark laid out a nearly killing blow, and then we watched TY kind of bleed out. He has his death rattle where he does his drop across the map and then goes, dies off. herO versus Cure. I'll tell you, man, Cure looks really scary this year.
He's always been a TVP killer, and right
Yeah.
now Terrans are doing especially well against Protoss players in Korea. But I gotta say, although herO looked very shaky in Group B of the last round of GSL, since then in Online Cups, he has been killing it. He won, I think, 3 different series against Beyond. He defeated Cure, he defeated Dark, Gumiho, DRG, Solar, Clem. These are all players that he beat, and he didn't go undefeated during this stretch, but the fact that you're taking out that many players that are in the top 16 of GSL or top 16 players around the world, this goes to show that it might have been a little bit of a fluke how shaky he was at Group C, excuse me. I just saw there on the graphic, but I mean, I think back to the games against Nightmare, and I'm like, oh no, herO, is this really where you're at right now? But it seems like we have more to expect from him here in GSL.
Yeah, fingers crossed here. The only Protoss in the group with the only Zerg, Dark. Dark managed to get into the winner's match. Let's see who he's going to face off against as Cure versus herO is about to begin on Grisman. Let's go.
2023 GSL Season 2. Club NV, Cure. DKZ Gaming, herO.
Very early scouting probe out from herO.
Yeah,
block
let's
the
see.
barracks. It's like a hatch block almost in PvT.
Yeah, well, let's see what he wants to do with this. Sometimes when you see a probe scout like this, it might not make sense when I say this, but it's kind of there to stop, like to confirm, okay, is there any proxies on the map or anything like that? And if you get in there and you see the barracks, you kind of know. We have other players that like an alternative approach where they kind of check all the other corners on the map and try to find it. I kind of like this way better, if that's what he wants to do. Basically just confirm, all right, are you playing a normal game? Got it. All right, now I can go do what I want to do.
Yeah, and on top of that, should he decide to go for, Adept or Oracle pressure later in the game, any hits that he gets off on these SCVs reduces it from 3 shots to 2 shots without upgrades. And herO has been known to enjoy his Oracles in basically every single matchup, but not finding too much damage with the probe this time around. Really just focusing on the scouting, and Cure going for a double gas despite having that probe scout in his base, so it's not going to be a very early CC. And herO's going to be curious what the tech of choice is going to be. Now, of course, it's going to be a factory follow-up, but
yeah,
from
that's
there it
interesting.
can branch into, basically any sort of harassment.
But when you see the 2 gases, you got to go, okay, what's coming? Could we have anything even weirder, like he just throws a command center down afterwards?
I mean, maybe if you pull out of the gases, you could, but
Yeah.
it's usually almost never seen.
I mean, it's a very odd moment, right? You just got that, you go, okay, what's going to happen? Because in a moment like this, you go, I'm probably going to be ahead as long as I just kind of stop whatever you're going to try to do. I do see an SCV out on the map. Maybe he wants to try. I'm sorry, that's actually, our monitor's so small. That's herO's probe at the bottom left.
This is how we learned that you're colorblind.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, are you looking at the one at the bottom left?
Tasteless? No. But yeah, I mean, I thought maybe he would try to hide a starport or something like that. Instead, it's going to be a Hellion and then a command center.
Yeah, and I mean, this could also just kind of dupe herO a little bit into playing safer than he otherwise would.
Well, it's a way, you see that and you go, okay, there might be a major threat, and I don't know what that is. But actually, he just takes a few SCVs off gas, gets a factory, gets the command center, and techs pretty normally.
Yeah, just going to be a little bit of faster tech speed up here for Cure, and he even spent some of that gas on double Reaper. Adept luckily in a good position to intercept right there because 2 Reapers coming into a mineral line. Probes do not have a lot of HP. Certainly a couple of them would have gone down. And look at this Dark Shrine placement, Tasteless.
I love this.
And the third base of Cure.
Is he going to throw a gateway down there too?
He might. I think the probe is still hanging out. I believe he actually has already. I'm looking at the production tab. I think there is that gateway going down.
Never mind. He is already doing. He's on top of it.
What a gamer.
What a gameroo.
This is what we need more of in GSL is proxy Dark Shrines, proxy gateways.
It's like, how is this the last Protoss left and he makes a proxy Dark Shrine? I'm like, oh, yeah, right.
How is this not GSL final worthy player right here?
Is the Reaper going to see it?
Oh, I think it might. Wow, it sees everything. Dark Shrine only about 60% of the way done, too. And herO's going to commit. He throws down an extra pylon.
Oh, my God.
But there's a Cyclone out. That's going to shred through these
buildings.
Cyclone
really is the unit of 2023 here.
It's just so good defensively. And I mean, look at this squadron of forces.
This is literally about as bad as it could possibly be for herO.
Do you cancel the Dark Shrine at this point? I mean, if it finishes, you can still warp in like 2 or 3 DTs, and he's going to let it finish.
I actually think this is so bad for herO. I'm not sure what he can do. I mean, it's funny. It would have been better if this was scouted right away and you could cancel it, but he couldn't even do that. So it's like the buildings are finishing, the pylons are killed right before the gateway's done. Like, it's bad. You can see the Adepts come in to try to draw the attention away, and they're killed off as well.
Yeah, Dark Templar are being warped in now for herO, Warp Prism as well, so he's still going to try and commit to something like a DT drop. Maybe we would power up that gateway again with the Warp Prism, but the pressure is about to mount, and back at home, Cure is also going for a Raven, so we'll see how herO holds off against this Cyclone and 4 Marine drop. With the tools he has at home, it's not looking that good. There's only 2 Adepts back to defend. The Stalker now is being warped in. There is a shield battery at least to try and mitigate some of the damage output here, and that will force Cure to change his focus to try on denying a 3rd base here from herO, but really tempo-wise, herO's in a lot of trouble right now. Even going to lose the pylon powering yet another gateway and the cybernetics core. Oh.
Oh, this DT is so sad. What?
I think Cure just assumed it was going to die.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's still getting some value here. 7 SCVs killed is pretty good, especially if you can keep the DT alive to do some more damage later on. The fact that the cybernetics core is going to be killed off is so annoying.
He might be able to defend the core, but the gateway absolutely is going to go down.
Yeah.
And that's 2 gateways out of the first 3 gateways that herO built that have been empowered in this game. Production is really not there. And actually, herO's building a cybernetics core.
I think he just
right now.
He tried to preempt it, and then he might have forgotten. Let's see if he lets it go or he cancels.
Huh.
Yeah, well, he might have seen the gateway get shot down and kind of thought. So he might have been listening to my casting when I was saying that earlier.
He's like, all right, Tasteless, you're right. I got to recycle this.
It is annoying Tasteless if I lose that.
Well, it's also, I guess, you realize it's in a very vulnerable position, especially if he's going to be expanding to the north. So maybe better than not just to build an extra cybernetics core in the main base. And now teching into Colossus, going for that 3rd base. I gotta say, the DTs have gotten a lot more damage done than I thought they were going to, considering the Dark Shrine got scouted. And, you know, that gateway unpowered right outside the 3rd base from Cure. I think in total we have something like 8 or 9 SDVs going down to these DTs, and one's still gonna get out alive, so herO's still able to find some good value.
Yeah, he even gets that Warp Prism. I mean, I gotta say, look, you know, we've had a lot of interactions here, but Cure seems to be just in a very good spot. He's got a really good army. We've got that 3rd Nexus coming, but a lot of times that's where we start to see the Terran try to give it to the Protoss. And, I mean, herO's got some of the best micro of all time in all of StarCraft, but that might still not cut it with the army supply disparity here.
That's a huge army. 2 siege tanks, handful of Widow Mines. I'm looking at what Protoss has right now, and unless he's able to maybe intercept Cure somewhere in the middle of the map and try to force out some energy usage, perhaps from that Raven, maybe then he can defend. But if Kira's able to work his way into a scary position here, like right outside the natural expansion or the third base here from herO, it's going to be tough for him to break out. Only one Colossus on the field. I don't even know if Thermal Lance has been researched just yet.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's only going to buy him a little bit of time. I mean, having charge finish in time is going to be great. I don't know about this. Let's see how this goes, actually. A drop in the main is going to be pretty handy, but, this is going to be a smaller bit of the army he could just kill off. He's going to get a lot of probes. Yeah. That's huge.
Entire mineral line basically evaporates there, as well as a couple of stalkers. And yeah, in fact, every single probe will go down. 23 workers in total, and one of the medevacs even surviving this. So nice win for Kira. Now he's going to pivot over to the third base so he can get any more economic damage done. And herO now is down to 33 probes tasteless. It's not looking good. And I feel like he thinks he needs to get something done. And I kind of agree with herO here, well, where your army is maybe not, it might not stand a chance against Terran, but you can't just sit back at home on 33 workers and try to make something happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, Thermal Lance just now starting, I think. Oh no, I think he might have forgotten this.
Oh God. All right, so he's baited out the first few mine shots. This can't work, right?
No way. Especially not with low-range Colossi. There's so much less micro opportunity here for the Protoss player.
A lot of bumpy early games here in this GSL. He tries to get some headway, it just kind of doesn't work.
Yeah, and he was sitting at 33 probes for a long time, just only building units, committing to this attack. And as soon as he pushed up that ramp, and he saw the arc and the amount of units that Kira had mustered at that third base, immediately credit boost every single Nexus and starts probe production again. But I feel like it might be too late. It's already 62 SCVs to 42 probes. Protoss, they're going to be investing a lot of minerals into these chrono-boosted Nexus. And as a result, they're not going to be really scaling very well military-wise. At least not on par with herO.
And once again, I mean, the Stalkers are going to escape. I mean, Kira is getting to an absurdly high supply right now. I mean, this is very, very alarming from the perspective of herO. Because eventually, especially with Stim, in general, if you don't have enough complicated splash damage, it really just doesn't matter what you're going to do, right? There's going to be enough kind of beefiness to whatever the Terran has that it can kind of force its way through anything.
Yeah, looks like Disruptor is going to be the tech of choice for herO, and this is kind of like, Dark Templar are the unit you kind of go for when you're behind. you want to get back. Disruptor's like that from the robotics facility where you're feeling pretty dead, and it's like, okay, what's my win condition? Maybe he'll AFK and lose 20 supply to a couple Disruptor shots.
Oh my gosh, he's going to just barely not see that.
You got a recall here. Oh, there's not energy for a recall even.
Yeah.
Oh, this hurts.
Well, more probes are going to be killed off over here. He might even be able to get the Nexus or something.
This is also allowing Kira to pivot back to the third base here.
Yeah, and this is where you can see the Protoss really gets pulled apart. There's so much infantry over here.
No anti-air to speak of here for herO either, so these Colossus just slowly going to fall to these 3 Vikings. And I feel like herO's in his death throes now. And the 29 probes, and GG is called. Kira just playing really a masterful TVP there. A bumpy early game for herO too. Maybe if that Dark Shrine doesn't go unscouted, or excuse me, let me rephrase that. Maybe if that Dark Shrine goes unscouted, herO's actually able to find some good damage done.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little cavalier, right? The placement. I mean, it was really like, if you're going to scout anywhere for anything like that at all, that's a place you would look, right? Right below your natural. So, I don't know what to say. Again, it's been kind of a theme for today. We're having a lot of pretty dramatic interruptions in builds that kind of completely and totally change the trajectory of the game for one player. And a lot of times they kind of can't get back out to where they need to be. And so here we are. We're going to go on to map number 2 now. This map is Dragon Scales, Kira versus herO, in a fight to see who will face off against Dark in the winners match.
2023 GSL Season 2. Club NV, Cure. DKZ Gaming, herO.
All right, so what exactly is herO going to do? I mean, that's got to be a frustrating loss here. You can't really chalk that up to the matchup or anything. I mean, when you get spotted, and when you're hidden tech, it's always going to be bad. By the way, there's different moments where it's worse to get caught. Like, it's never as bad if, like, they just catch your pylon making, right? Mm-hmm. Or they just catch, or they just catch your.
Now over here, the camera's moving around the studio.
Let's get a third camera on them. We're everywhere. But like, let's say then they just catch the beginnings of your tech, right? Well, then you can kind of cancel, or you have more time to react. He found and then killed the tech when the Dark Shrine was almost done. By the way, there's like no building in the game that takes as long as the Dark Shrine. He kills it before the gateway finishes so that he can't really warp in there fast. I mean, it's like, it's rough. And whenever you invest in DT tech, it's really bad if it's then shut down. Because DT tech is inherently different than, like, if you go for Stalkers with Blink, or you go for, let's say, a Robo, and you're going to be accumulating, Colossi, or you're going to make Disruptors. I mean, part of what makes DT tech good and why you hide it and why it's not as common is it kind of has to creep up on the opponent. You want to try to catch them off guard. Because if they're ready for it, they're just going to stop it, and you're not going to get much done. And you're probably going to be in a weaker place later on in the game.
Yeah, it's a lot of investment, and usually it's at one of those critical junctions in time for Protoss where you're trying to get up all these other critical parts of your tech tree, whether it be Blink Stalkers, whether it be, robotics units. If you're going for DTs, that means that you're not going to be going for something else that allows you to fight in the mid game. So it really hinges on actually getting some damage done harassment-wise. And getting shut down like that, he was still able to kill maybe, 8 or 9 SCVs, which is a very good catch, especially considering how it's scouted. Nice micro by herO, by the way. He's going to get both those Reapers.
Dude, that's wild.
But
in theory, Cure should not have lost either of those, so that's a pretty big win.
Yeah, that was quite good for herO. And take-up choice now is going to be Stargate. We'll see what damage he's able to find as this Hellion will be intercepted. Should be able to get a full scan off in the main base, though. Oh, it's going to be Phoenix coming out. Okay.
Yeah, and I've seen herO mess around with this kind of style a little bit more. And it's usually just kind of a safe way to play the game, where you're going to try to catch any mistakes that Terran can maybe make here and punish accordingly. But definitely it's going to be a different PvT than the one we just saw.
Oh, absolutely. I think herO was already in a much better position this game than he ever was in the previous match, being able to delay the command center there from Terran for a significant amount of time, and going for this Phoenix as well against the drop from Cure. Should herO actually be able to spot this, as it looks like his Phoenix going to the left side, he's actually not going to be able to get eyes on this medevac. In theory, he has the tools to deal with this quite well, but in practice, I think this might actually get some amount of damage done. Cure is going to play it safe, though, just land on the low ground.
Yeah, gonna go for that cybernetic score and try to force him to make a second one again.
Yeah, with 3 adepts though, you're able to actually one-shot these Marines. So this drop, not gonna get very much done.
Weird interaction.
I mean, now you gotta drop again over here on this cliff, but the shades are just gonna pop. I guess the second Cyclone coming in does change the calculation a little bit, as well as the Viking. Actually, a nice win here for Cure.
Okay, hold on
to kill
a second.
Phoenix.
You get enough of these adepts, and suddenly there's nothing on the ground at all.
Yeah, those 2 units for Cure really anchored that position.
And Immortal's going to start. You got to note, I mean, it's not a convenient position for the Robo here. You have to push and get in and maybe kill that in time. Killing the cybernetic score is also kind of a big deal. Zealots are not going to be good against this army.
It's okay. herO built a second cybernetic score last game, so we should still be able to work in Stalkers now. That's a third Cyclone. There's a fourth one actually in production right now from Cure. This is a style that I haven't seen in TVP.
So I thought he was going to run up to the entrance and try to kind of snowball the fight, but instead he takes out the core in the gateway, which is also fine, by the way. Not saying one's necessarily better than the other. He's going to come up here now. He's going to pick off the battery. How far does this go?
I think this can go quite far, especially with the Vikings. Well, you know, they serve like the same role as an Overlord with a Ravager push,
well,
right?
He can basically kite the Immortal too with a Cyclone. So it's like, I don't know if this is just going to close this out or not.
It might. I mean, the probes are getting cold right now. There is no answer. Indy Skies are on the ground for this push that Cure's coming up with. Another Cyclone enters the fray. A lot of these probes are getting cleaned up, and although it seems like herO will eventually be able to stabilize here, that was so much economic damage done, and herO still sitting on 2 bases. Behind this, Cure going for Cloak Banshee as well.
This is wild. He killed off a lot of workers, so that's already a big win. And Terran's continuing to develop. So, like, what would be in store next here? I mean, I wonder. Obviously, we have the Banshee with the Cloak, but I guess I forgot. The Robo was killed, right? No, he's making a Colossus.
The Robo stayed alive.
Unpowered. I'm sorry. Okay, that's why I'm confused. The Robo was unpowered, but we have a Banshee coming in here. He has the Observer on the other side of the map. He might not have anything to detect for Cloak.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything here. He is warping in a shield battery, so that should stymie the Banshee at least for a little bit. But he's going to need to quickly build an Observer, and yeah, immediately starts it once that Colossus is done. But for herO right now, he only has 1 Phoenix on the map, and actually the Banshee will get here before that battery finishes, so probes have to get evacuated.
Well, the third base is going to come up regardless of the worker deficit. But, you know, losing the complexity, you know, that the Protoss had early on there, it's kind of a scary thing. It makes it a lot easier for the Terran to kind of set up for a pretty straightforward win. So Terran also has his third command center done and ready to go. He can just plop that right over on the third base. Banshee's going to come in here and try to get a few more kills. The Observer does spot it.
Observer now going back to try and intercept, but Banshee just a little bit quicker here. Should be able to get at least 1 probe kill.
Yeah, good
catch.
We
have Observer speed, I think. Those are some speedy Observers.
So he's going to set up a foothold out here. Big kill on the Phoenix.
Yeah.
He's just going to relocate too. This is
He's
smart.
like, yeah, that's enough of a win.
Yeah. And so Colossus Phoenix is going to be the play. Dude, for a second, I'm like, he's pulling the boys.
No, just taking the third base here. I'm trying to think back on how many Phoenixes we've had get created.
And killed.
And it's got to be a lot.
3 or 4, man. It's a lot. It might even be more than that. The push is going to come out. And I don't know how well this is going to do.
Yeah, I feel like the Cyclones are just going to make this position so hard to break. So I'm now seeing these Observers move very slowly. I think something about the perspective before, maybe you think they were moving a lot faster than they actually were. It's like, that would have been an interesting tech choice to go into Observer speed against Banshees, but yeah, herO's just going to walk back home, starts his Forge and his Twilight Council, continuing up with Colossus production. I feel like Cure's in a very good position this game. He's still ahead on workers, and that's not even before you count in the Mules, and the Phoenixes, they barely clip the Medivacs, but I think they actually missed this drop, so herO out of position here. Doesn't have the Phoenixes back home either to intercept.
Oh, man. I mean, he's going to get so many probe kills. He is going to be chased away, but he might actually be chased into this other base that he could just kill if he's fast enough. This is so low on HP, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Phoenixes being here, they can't really dive on this because of the Marines, but they're going to try. I feel like there is an opportunity to get a little bit more damage done. And yeah, finally, Liv's coming in on the Marauders. Colossi can push away those Marines, but
here.
I feel like a lot of these little tiny exchanges are just going in the favor of Cure. And Thermal Lance, once again, very late for herO. He has 3 Colossus on the field, no Lance. That's already directly translated into losing a couple of Phoenixes there too, because he wasn't able to actually zone out the Marines as effectively as he would if he had that range bonus. And also worth noting that +1 ground weapons only just now begun here for herO. Meanwhile, Cure, I mean, he's getting his 2nd engineering bay, he's getting his armory up. So Protoss, not only do they have the smaller ground force in the game right now, but also they're behind on upgrades, and soon they're going to be not in a good position tech-wise either, with Terran also starting to get ghosts out onto the field.
Yeah, the Phoenixes are going to come in here from the back. I don't think they're going to find anything. They can't even quite nab that ghost. Yeah, you know, this base at the bottom left, I don't know that there is necessarily an easy other base to take. I mean, I guess we could take that triangle base. But yeah, it's really hard for Protoss to get that fourth base up here. So that's another Nexus that has been killed off here.
Yeah.
And you know, this is kind of death by 1,000 cuts here.
Nexus wasn't even canceled, and behind all of this, Kira is going for a fourth command center. So soon it's going to be a 4-base Terran against what is currently a 3-base Protoss. And it feels like Kira is getting to basically a breaking point where these small groups of units are just so difficult for Kira to split up and actually deal with. The recall is going to come in here to the natural expansion. And one of these Colossus right in the front. Luckily, Disruptor hit good enough that Kira will have to retreat, but now the third Nexus is going to be going down tasteless. There's no sustained damage here to actually save it. Shield Battery is trying to regen it, but not enough. And now it's a 2-base Protoss economy.
Well, he's punched so many holes in this position. And you know, even when you see Protoss lash back out and get the kills, it's pretty easy for Terran to remake what they've already lost. And I mean, I think this might not be the easiest fight for Cure, but I think that behind that, Protoss is in such bad shape. And the momentum is really so very much there for Cure.
Yeah, herO really needs to make something happen with this push right now. He's taking too much economic damage back at home. Kira's going up to 4 bases very soon. And the time is running out. Already down 15 workers. herO, this is his window to finally get something done. Kira sacrificed a lot of units to try and get this economic damage accomplished on hero's side of the map. But the EMP's big. These Phoenixes have no energy.
I mean, this is actually a little bit crazy.
Wow.
No, it's not enough, not enough, not enough. You know, it's an impressive attack regardless, the fact that herO got in there. He got pretty far along. But again, you know, you're able to kind of muster enough units of Phoenixes alone are not going to cut it.
Yeah, had these Phoenixes perhaps had a little bit more energy, that fight could have gone better for herO, but now it's kind of just him in the twilight days of this game. He's going to go for a Zealot run by to Kira's 4th base, but it's 27 army supply to 80. hero's scrambling, trying to build what I think is maybe the 3rd robotics facility. And even the Widow Mines here at the 3rd base for herO. The worker count differential just continues to grow wider.
There it is.
GG is
GG.
called.
I mean, that
Kira
was,
looks good.
Yeah, he looks really good. And honestly, I keep thinking back to that initial attack. It was like 3 Cyclones, I think 1 or 2 Vikings, Marines, and he was sort of doing this cool little dance. I mean, Cyclones, they've always been good, but they're really hot here in 2013 or 2023.
Yeah, it's like 2013. It's like,
oh
they
my
haven't been
God.
invented yet,
Have you
Tasteless.
time traveled here? I'm like, oh no, they're on to me. No, but you know, in these matches, we see Cyclones being used in this way where it's like, if you're not totally ready, you're going to get punished, and they could get out of control. Guys, up next to winner's match, Cure vs. Stark. We'll be right back.